why Canada and the United States are actually merging from behind the scenes, and how we're going to be witnessing a full-out elimination of the deep state in Canada, all right? Beginning with, of course, those people that stole the election last Friday, right? This new Liberton or Liberal Party. I apologize, my background, I'm actually staying in a hotel currently. I'm scheduled to return back to my apartment after a long month of not being in my apartment. I'm going to be coming back in the next couple of days, so hopefully by the time I do a Monday night YHAT Intel update, I will be back in my apartment with my dog, Athena. Now, if you guys can give me a second, I do want to turn on a different light. 1 second. Just so that we could get more lighting in here. There we go. Let there be lights, right? The opening verse in all of the holy text. How is everyone doing? All right. Before I start with the, with these beautiful packets of information, I do want to welcome everyone, all my new subscribers. For those that don't know me, my name is Ismael Perez, and I am the author of 2 groundbreaking, amazing books. One of them is called The Secret Government Invisible Architects. There we go. I don't need to cut my hair off. And the other one is called Our Cosmic Origin. All right. And these books are also available on Amazon. Now, on top of that, I also want to extend deep gratitude to all the Jedis out there, all the freedom fighters, all of you beautiful light warriors and light workers that took the call to be here at this time and embody in human body, despite the fact that it is so hard to be here at this time. And some of us just want to go home, right? We just want to be like, teleport me back home. So I want to extend gratitude to each and every single one of you, and also for supporting my channel, for being here and watching every live. All right, so let's get right into it. Before I get right into it, I do want to remind you guys that the Folium product, which consists of 3 different products, Folium PX, Folium Immuna, and Folium Renewal, you could actually access it through the link in my description, okay? The link in the description, if you go through that link and you put code name Perez25, you guys get, I believe, $15 off, so you get free shipping and handling. And this is not only applying to those that live in the States, but it also applies to those that are in other countries. So it is international. And with that in mind, I will go ahead and start my update. So before I get into what Doge has been doing and what Trump is doing in our favor, I first want to talk about the emergence of Canada and the United States and why it's happening and where is this heading, okay? Well, you have to understand that we are living in the most exciting times ever in the history of planet Earth, right? This is a pivotal moment for many various reasons. And so we are witnessing the disintegration, right? As the liberation of the earth takes place, we're going to be witnessing the dismantling of almost 300 countries into what is known as 22 federated regions. And I actually revealed what these federated regions were and are in my first edition of my book, Our Cosmic Origin. And I was told to delete it for the second edition, but now they want me to talk about it again and in greater detail. All right, so before I get into Space Force and the geopolitical update, this live is going to be jam-packed with good information, right? Let's talk about the emergence of the United States, or rather the merging of the United States and Canada, and the path to what is known as an interplanetary level 1 civilization. So the emergence of the United States and Canada, let's just say since their inception in the 18th and 19th century, actually marked a critical point in human history. Why? Well, it turns out that these nations were among the first to adopt a constitutional republic, right, framework before they were infiltrated by the cabal that prioritized individual rights, representative governments, and economic innovation. Okay, their establishing did not just influence political development across the Western Hemisphere. It actually laid excuse me, laid foundational concepts for the civilization of humanity. No, I'm sorry, for the unification of humanity under a federated structure, okay? One that may be ultimately extend beyond Earth, and it will. And a lot of this also ties into Space Force, by the way. So today's live is going to be all integrated. Somehow they're all kind of connected. So in the early 21st century, which is now, what we're witnessing from behind the scenes is a growing global interdependence driven by digital connectivity, right? We are now a digital society, right? We are a global society. Thanks to the rise of internet technology, environmental challenges, and of course, technological breakthroughs that signaled that the traditional model of over 200 and some independent nations was actually becoming obsolete, okay? So alongside this transition, I want to call it a transition, a geopolitical transition, we are seeing shifts that are giving rise to discussions around larger federated structures that could ensure peace, resource sharing, and planetary stewardship on a global scale. So according to insiders, within certain, you could say, futuristic and strategic planning communities, Earth is now progressing towards a formation of 22 federated regions, each composed of groups of current nation states united by geography, culture, and economic interdependence. This new global order is envisioned not as a centralized empire, but as a harmonious system of governance designed to prepare humanity for its place in the galactic community. This is where it's all heading, guys. Okay? So it is already beginning with the emergence, right? The integration of Canada in the United States. And I think Mexico is also going to be a part of that. But unlike the American Union, right, which was the cabal's step by step towards global union, this is a little different. Let me explain. So a pivotal part of this transformation is the ongoing activity of the Alliance, the Earth Alliance, an international coalition that is working to dismantle entrenched corrupt power structures that actually were installed by the cabal, right? Based on, or cooperating rather, with extraterrestrial civilizations as humanity assumes a more active role in the galactic community. And I mentioned this before, and I'll mention it again. The Earth's quarantine has been lifted, right? From behind the scenes, the Alliance is working with the galactic community to initiate the Earth back into the galactic community, right? So each of the 22 councils will possess its own specialized infrastructure, including communication, networks, teleportation systems, data governance, framework, and planetary resource distribution hubs. Well, these systems are being designed to ensure resilience, decentralization, right? The QFS, right? The quantum freedom grid, and equitable access features crucial to the Earth's integration into a wider cosmic federation. Okay, this is where it's all leading. So this vision, still again, that not a lot of people know about, except those that are in the inside, is driven by the belief that humanity's survival and flourishing depends on its ability to overcome internal division and embrace a post-national identity, okay? So as the Earth transitions from fragmented sovereignty to united federated regions, the lessons and structures pioneered by the early nations like the United States during its initial conception, based on the Constitutional Republic, and of course Canada during its initial inception based on its Constitutional Republic before it was hijacked by the cabal, will serve as the blueprints, okay? They embody the dual ideals of local autonomy and shared destiny, which are essential for the coming interplanetary civilization. And that's what we are going to be transitioning into. I've actually explained that today in our cosmic origin class, that our planet for many thousands of years has been operating as what is known as a type 0 civilization, and now we are getting ready to transition into what is known as a type 1 interplanetary civilization. Okay, so while these developments may seem distant or abstract to some, bear in mind that the groundwork is already being laid. Okay, quiet diplomatic alliances, technological advances in propulsion, right, being already worked upon and developed by Space Force, and communication, and increasing public awareness of our place in the cosmos are actually aligning with the development of the 22 federated regions. So the future of the Earth as a unified, sovereign member of the galactic order, as prophesied, right? You know, Earth wasn't going to be isolated from the rest of the galactic and interstellar communities forever, right? There is a time for everything. So as the Earth becomes a sovereign member of the galactic order, may no longer be the domain of science fiction, but the next stage in the long arc of human history. And how does this tie in to Space Force? Well, it has a lot to do with Space Force, guys. Okay. For instance, let's see. Let's talk about how this ties into Space Force, because of the fact that Space Force is actually building a defense interplanetary infrastructure as I speak, right? Basically, what's happening is that Solar Warden, the positive breakaway group, is slowly but surely, you could say, not bleeding, but leaking, right, into Space Force, okay? So let's talk about Space Force and how humanity will be returning to the stars under galactic oversight as we become our own defenders, okay? Let's be real. For the last few thousand years, our planet has been monitored and protected by Federation forces, Galactic Federation forces, right now the Galactic Alliance. But now they're passing the torch over to us because we have reached, right, according to Galactic Protocol, a certain level of spiritual, cultural, and technological development, okay? So the creation of the United States Space Force is far more than just implementing counterintelligence or what is known as counter-terrorist, you could say, counter-terrorist programs. The creation of the Space Force in 2019, again, it was talked about in 2016, 17, but it was fully established in 2019 under the direction of Mr. T, right, signifies more than just the formation of the fifth branch of the U.S. military. It was the visible manifestation of a deeper, more profound shift in humanity's trajectory. So while mainstream narratives focus on orbital satellite defense, right, and cyber warfare, the truth lies far beyond the limits of Earth's atmosphere, okay? Again, Space Force is acting as a bridge that is going to leak in all of these advanced interplanetary technologies that have already been employed by a breakaway group known as Solar Warden, which was the original interplanetary police force. All right. So while mainstream narratives, again, focus on orbital satellite defense and cyber warfare, the truth lies way beyond the limits of the Earth. So from behind the scenes, the Earth's emergence as a spacefaring civilization is actually being guided not only by human hands, but also by an intricate network of cosmic allies, right? Right now, all the attention is on the Earth, and I've explained it many, many times why. These allies, commonly known as the Galactic Alliance, have long overseen the evolution of intelligent life in this region of space and have determined that the Earth is now ready to stand as a sovereign planet among the stars. And a lot of this has a lot to do with the removal and dismantling of the Cabal, okay? So at the heart of this Galactic Council, believe it or not, guys, stands no other than one of my best friends, Commander Valiant Thor, as an emissary from Venus. All right, he was dispatched in 1957, 1956 to be exact, to meet with Eisenhower. Okay, so according to classified and metaphysical reports, Valiant Thor has actually worked closely with the positive elements of the U.S. governments since the late 1950s. All right, this is the beginning of the alliance, guys. Commander Valiant Thor is one of several operatives within the United Federation of Planets, right, which is a multi-dimensional organization tasked with maintaining peace and balance within our local star cluster. Okay, and for those that are taking our cosmic origin, you know that our local star cluster consists of anywhere between 600 and 900, almost 1,000 worlds, right? So, for millennia, such entities have monitored Earth's development, waiting patiently for the day when human civilization could actually mature past internal corruption and tyranny. Well, that day is now approaching, and it's approaching rather fast. And the creation, therefore, of Space Force has signaled, or is a signal, to the Galactic Alliance that the Earth is preparing to now defend its own planetary sovereignty. So the Earth Alliance, which is an international coalition of awakened sovereign nations, right, military insiders, and secret aerospace programs, has worked in tandem with the Galactic Alliance to lay the groundwork for a public-facing military space force. This is not just a sudden leap, but a return to an ancient heritage, right? For instance, the last time that the Earth had its own space defense, believe it or not, was about 10,000 years ago during the Golden Age of Egypt, right? When the benevolent gods, as they were called, but they weren't gods, they were just watchers, extraterrestrial protectors, right? The Naturu, as they are known in ancient studies, existed and created and had a space defense. And that was known as Delta 19, okay? So this is not just a sudden leap, but a return to this ancient heritage, right? In the time of ancient Egypt, as mentioned, under the wise and peaceful rule of the Naturu, right, which are advanced beings from Sirius and Orion, right, often mistaken as gods in mythology, humanity briefly operated a planetary space command known then as Delta Forces of the Stars. And this organization protected the Earth from extraterrestrial threats and maintained contact with other benevolent civilizations. And yes, guys, believe it or not, even after the fall of Atlantis, we did experience about 2,000 years of the Age of Light, or a golden era, under the rule of the Guardians, right? The Guardians from Orion and the Guardians from Sirius, which were, again, referred to as gods. But they weren't gods. They were pretty much advanced beings from the stars. However, as recorded in esoteric literature and traditions and forbidden archaeology, this ancient space command was ultimately infiltrated, unfortunately, by the Anunnaki. They were infiltrated from within, right? This is when Enki and Marduk, we could blame it on Enki and Marduk, that eventually enslaved humanity under the rule of a corrupted priest-king and hybrid dynasties. So this is the origin of the Cabal, right? So for over 10,000 years, this nefarious influence grew, manipulating human affairs from the shadows and dismantling the Earth's capacity for galactic defense. Well, only recently, with the weakening of the Cabal and the retreat of the Anunnaki overlords, and yes, guys, the Anunnaki overlords have been dealt with, all right? They are no longer in control of planet Nibiru, right? Marduk, who was the last Anunnaki being that was controlling Nibiru, was actually forced to step down back in 1999, right before 2000. So we could say that Nibiru, the Battlestar planet, right, known as Nibiru, the dwarf star, nemesis, twin star of our sun, is on a trajectory to return, okay? But it's not going to whack us anymore, okay? It's now under the control of the Syrian High Council. So recently, of course, with the weakening of the Cabal and the elimination of the Anunnaki control of this planet, because they don't no longer control this planet, and that explains why now the Alliance is in a position to dismantle the rest of the Cabal, right? The Earth regained the possibility of reclaiming its place among the stars. So the rise of Space Force, as we would call it, the fifth branch of the U.S. military, is actually far more than that. It actually represents the first public signal of this reclamation. So, officially tasked with the defense of the U.S. interest in space and again against international terrorism, right? Space Force is really serves a much broader role as a guardian of the Earth, a bridge to humanity's interstellar allies, and the visible tip of a vast hidden network of off-world operations, which are going to be revealed to the general public very, very soon. So chief among these operations is, of course, the positive space program that I mentioned last week, known as Solar Warden, right? Which is an advanced interplanetary navy. It is a branch from our own U.S. Navy, by the way. For those that didn't know how Solar Warden was developed, it was developed by our own U.S. Navy. In response to the nefarious interplanetary corporate conglomerate that was developed by the Air Force, which was controlled by Truman and the Cabal. Okay, so according to whistleblowers and insiders, it turns out that Solar Warden has been patrolling our solar system for decades. All right, and Solar Warden operates in coordination with the Earth Alliance. Right, that's also known as the Positive SSP program, and the Galactic Federation of Worlds, now known as the Galactic Alliance, to ensure the safety of Earth from both internal subversion, the Cabal, and external threats, the negative aliens, or the nefarious aliens. Space Force is being developed as a public-facing conduit to integrate future disclosure of these hidden programs. So when the moment of global disclosure arrives and the veils of secrecy are lifted, the technologies long kept in secret will be rolled out to benefit all of humanity. This includes energy healing, anti-gravity propulsion, zero-point energy, and other systems that will revolutionize life on Earth, right? So in the near future, right, very near, and yes, we are all going to live to see it. In fact, it's going to be happening before 2028, and it's all going to start happening this year, okay? That is going to lead into this leap or transition into an interplanetary civilization. So Space Force is no longer merely going to be, you could say, patrolling low Earth orbit. It will serve as a planetary shield, a diplomatic envoy, and a training ground for the next generation of interstellar guardians, right? All because of Space Force, guys. So, as the Earth reclaims its sovereignty, it does not as an isolated world, but as a respected member of a vast galactic family. So the stars are not foreign territory, right? They are our homecoming, and Space Force is really the vessel, by which we will be returning to the stars, okay? Now, in addition to all of this, I want to also mention, one second. I'm drinking hibiscus tea, which is very good for the heart. So in addition to all of this, according to what's happening with the Trump administration, well, it turns out that Mr. T's administration is actually planning a significant personal cuts regarding all three-letter agencies, especially the one that starts with the C, and other major U.S. spy units, according to the Washington Post, in a move seen as part of his bid to downsize key government agencies. And a lot of this has to do with what Doge has unraveled, okay? So the CIA, the C plans to cut about 1,200 positions, along with thousands more from other parts of the U.S. intelligence community. The newspaper reported on Friday, by the way, which was yesterday. Federal prosecutors are blaming Mr. T's administration, pressure for resignation, list of 2 of 3. Trump fires hundreds of federal aviation workers after deadly crash. Elon Musk's Doge seeks access to U.S. taxpayers' data, sparking privacy fears and end of list. All right. So members of Congress have reportedly been told about the planned cuts, which will take place over several years, more like several months, let's be real. And he accomplished this in part through reduced hiring as opposed to layoffs, the report added. And then, of course, asked about the report, a spokesperson for the agency did not confirm what this specified, right? But said that the 3-letter agency that starts with the C, director by the name of John Ratcliffe, the other director, right? Not Kash Patel, is actually moving swiftly to ensure that the 3-letter agency's workforce is responsive to the administration's national security priorities. So these moves are part of a holistic strategy to infuse the agency with renewed energy, provide opportunities for rising leaders to emerge, or at least people that are going to be replacing the swamp, and then better positions for the 3-letter agencies, which are about to be reformed, in order to deliver its mission, right? So Trump appointee Ratcliffe, who was sworn in as CIA director in January, previously told lawmakers that under his leadership, the agency would produce insightful, objective, all-secure, all-source analysis, never allowing political or personal biases to cloud out judgment or infect our products. We will collect intelligence, especially human intelligence, in every corner of the globe, no matter how dark or difficult, as well as conduct covert action at the direction of the president, going places no one else can go, and doing things no one else can do, he said. All right, addressing the 3-letter agency, it starts with the C, officers, he said, if all of this sounds like what you signed up for, then buckle up and get ready to make a difference. If it doesn't, then it's time to find a new line of work. So in March, the 3-letter agency that starts with the C also announced that it would fire an undetermined number of junior officers as part of Mr. T's government downsizing policy. So, yeah, there you guys go. There you guys have it. And also, it is important to understand that the war between Russia and the Ukraine is also coming to a halt. So all of these rumors of war, all of this stuff that we've been listening to is actually not true, right? Don't listen to the mainstream media because you're not getting the truth from the mainstream media. They're actually trying to wreak havoc, or not wreak havoc, but create what is known as mass fear, right? So just don't pay attention to the news, because what's really happening from behind the scenes, guys, is that the wars are ending, right? The wars are ending. And that also includes the conflict that is happening between India, I believe, India and Pakistan, right? And also the conflict that is happening between Israel and Iran. Okay, so we don't have to worry about, the Third World War, right? These are just rumors of war. And I could assure you guys that that timeline was definitely canceled. All right. So like I said at the beginning of the live, and there's a reason why I always like to start my lives with, we are steady on a positive timeline trajectory, because I'm actually also putting the intention out, right, into the collective as I say that every time I start my live, because that is the truth of the matter, right? We are actually returning back to the original timeline, right, which is also known as the what? The sacred timeline, the original timeline that connects, or that corresponds to what I call the Alpha verse, right? The Alpha universe, not the Omega universe. Anyhow, I hope you guys are having a fantastic evening. Yes, I am very tanned. I've been out in the sun all day, so I got my little tan here going. I'm going to go ahead and see if I could take some Q&A on my phone so that I could read the chat a lot better than what I could see on the screen here, because I could barely see the screen. One second here. Let me clear my glasses. All right, there we go. Let's see who is in the house. Oh, there I am. I am going live. All right, here I am. I have 2,300 people that are in the house. Welcome, welcome. I see Trinity K in the house. I see Deborah Wise, or Wiz, Amanda Tempori, Angelic Warrior, Prince Royale, Aaron H., Deborah Wise, I've already mentioned her, Joanna, Sandra, Gemini Moon, thank you so much for your super chat. And yes, Gemini Moon, I will be answering your question first. Sandy Kuzma, who is in the house and was also in one of my classes this afternoon. Sylvia Vidal is in the house. Peggy Johnson. Who else? Sandy Foster is in the house. Starlight, I guess. Heather J. Ridzema. Glenn Frey. Lee Star. Diana 77. Who else? Project Skyfall. And Jasmine, all in the house. All right. Cool. Thank you guys so much for being here. 2,300 people that are in the house. Okay, so I'm going to start with Gemini Moon, who is asking, can you please talk to Jill Hunt? She is a wonderful, dedicated Jedi. We do not want to lose her. I don't know Jill Hunt. I don't know who she is. I don't even know how to communicate with her. I don't have her contact or email. But can you please talk to Jill Hunt? She is a wonderful, dedicated Jedi. We do not want to lose her. Sure. I mean, I could probably reach out to her telepathically. I don't know. All right, random questions here. What about 34 structures? No, I was told that we were going to be, that there was going to be 22 structures, not 34. This is a question from Charlene Tracy. And again, for those of you guys that got my first edition of our Cosmic Origin, I actually revealed the 22 federated region and in detail, okay? I do have another super chat from Kathleen. Is it Bedos? Bedos, welcome, welcome. I appreciate your little cheerleader. Thank you. I do have another super chat from Indigo Star 144. Will there be any pain and stuff and suffering in 5D? Okay, will there be any pain and suffering in 5D? No, not at all. 5D is a non-polarized reality. There is no pain. Everything is in perfect balance and in harmony. Oh, yes, I know who Jill Hunt is. I do know who she is. She's actually on the chat. She's a Galactic Jedi, apparently. Again, I don't really remember names. I know faces more than names, so I'm really bad with names, guys. And a lot of this has to do because I'm very right brain oriented, not left brain. But I do remember faces, that's for sure. Okay, let's see who else. All right, this is a question from CC Clark. Will we need to be in 5D before we are reunited with our loved ones? Well, your loved ones that have passed are actually waiting for us in the 5D. So when the Earth ascends and we go into 5D, they're automatically already going to be there waiting for you. I do have another super chat from Mary Curry. Thank you so much, Mary, for being here. She says there is some misunderstanding about Jill Hunt's merchandise order. We don't want her to leave this Jedi group. I don't take care of the merchandise order, guys. That has my tech guy runs that. He runs the website. So I don't know what's happening. Sometimes you guys have to just perhaps trace your order. I don't know, but I've never had that issue happen. I had tons of Galactic Jedis that have been ordering stuff, Galactic Jedi wear, and they're getting their stuff. So I don't know what's happening here. Let's see. What is Starseed Rewards? Is go back home. Let me see. What is Starseed Reward? Is go back home, says Francis. Well, why would you want to go back home when the Earth is going to be now the epicenter of the multiverse, right? This is going to be the new headquarters world. I mean, yeah, you could always go visit your home planet, but this is the planet that is going to be like the main planet when the ascension takes place. Jacob Scherer says, Ishmael, I appreciate you, sir. Everything is as it is supposed to be. Tell us again about the cycles. How many cycles are there? Wow. Well, there are many, many cycles, most of which are not measurable by our current Earth scientists. So as far as we know, we only know up to the 25,000 year cycle. But there is also what is known as a galactic year cycle, which is a 226 million year cycle, which is equivalent to 52 26,000 year cycles. And then there's also a 22 million year cycle. I'm sorry, a 22 billion year cycle, which is a universal cycle, which is equivalent to 17 226 million year cycles. And then there's also what is known as a 40 billion year cycle. And then on top of that, there's a greater cycle known as a cosmic cycle. That is known as a 900 billion year cycle. So right now, as I speak, not only are we entering the age of Aquarius, right, ending the Piscean era, but we're also ending a 5,000 year cycle, the world age, the 26,000 year cycle, which is the revolution of our solar system around Alcyone, and the 226 million year cycle, which is Alcyone, Sirius B, and our solar system revolving around the galactic hub. And we're also ending the 22 billion year cycle, which is our Milky Way with other galaxies revolving around the great central sun of our local universe. And we're also ending a 40 billion year cycle, which is our local universe revolving around the super universe. And we're also ending a 900 billion year cycle, which is our super universe revolving around the mother central universe. All that in a nutshell. So yeah, this is a fun time to be alive, right? This is a fun time to be alive. Rhonda Chance, thank you so much for the super chat, Rhonda. She's asking, any idea on timeline for RV rollout? Will Redemption Center schedule medbeds appointments? I'm not sure about that. I guess we're all going to find out. I am not sure about that. Good question, though. Patriot for God, thank you so much for your super chat. Your question is, thank you, Ishmael. Your energy is contagious. I look forward to your chats and looking forward to the class tomorrow at 1. Awesome. Can't wait to see you again. All right. I think no, there's one more chat that I didn't answer. This is from Gemini Moon. Thank you so much for your super chat. She says, they told Jill she is fibbing. She never got her merchandise. Again, guys, I'm going to have to talk to my tech guy because he's the one who handles all this. But I've never had this issue with all the other Galactic Jedis that got their merchandise. So I apologize for that, Jill. I do have another super chat from Peter S. Conrad. He's asking, hi, Ishmael. When are they going to clean the air above us? That's a very good question. You're talking about the aerosol, the trails. I can't give a date, but just know that, very, very soon, right? Especially as the White Hats remove the cabal. And then the second part of your question is, I just want a clean air and a clean planet. Let's stop this suffering. I agree with you, Peter. I think we all want a healthier ecosystem. Would you guys agree? Absolutely. Have we entered the photon belt, says Donna Hewitt. We have been since the 1940s and 50s, but we are almost fully emergent into the photon belt, okay? So it's just a matter of time before we are fully emerged into the photon belt. Coco is asking me, when will Carney be removed from Canada? Well, as mentioned earlier in the live, Coco, if you watch the live from the get-go, I talk about how the Alliance is working on removing the deep state in Canada and merging Canada with the United States, becoming the first federated region for the rest of the planet to follow. So again, for those that are just jumping on, just make sure you watch this live from the beginning. I talk about the mergence of Canada and the United States and why it's happening. Not to mention, I talk about Space Force in connections to the old Delta command defense that was operating during the golden age of Egypt. Do you know about phrasal drip? No, I don't. Wade Woodruff is asking me that. I do not know about that. Seattle Cat 323 is asking me, where will all the really evil people go when they die if there is no hell? Well, there is this thing called spiritual death, right? Physical death is not even death, because we know we are eternal consciousness, right? We go from avatar to avatar. Spiritual death, on the other hand, guys, that's when your consciousness, your essence becomes extinguished. So if they don't accept the light, if they don't defect from darkness, by the time that Prime Creator Source says, hey, your time is up, which is the solar flash, then they're going to be extinguished. They're going to lose their sense of identity. And they're going to just be recycled, you could say. Robert Bronco is asking me if the Tartarians built the Vatican. No, not at all. No. Anna Nishida is asking me, when did dragons disappear? Well, the dragons exist in the fourth dimension, and it's not like they totally disappeared. It's just that we've been shunned from seeing into other realities, right? Other densities. So some of us that are developing our psychic abilities, we're actually seeing the dragons once again. And yes, when this multidimensional conversion takes place, all of the magical creatures, the fairies and the dragons, they're all going to be returning back to our reality. So the dragons never left. They're just existing in a different dimension, different density. Just want to make sure I answered all the super chats. Let's see. Joyce Shewers is asking what happened to your wife. You must be talking about my ex. Well, about 2.5 years ago, she told me that if I didn't get that, right, that I wasn't, she didn't want to, you could say, she wanted to give me an ultimatum. So I either got that or divorced. And so, of course, I wasn't going to compromise my body. So I decided to divorce. David Isington, thank you so much for your super chat, brother. How did the 22, he's asking, how did the 22 federated regions fit within the 7 kingdoms? Are the kingdoms purely spiritual, being Christos family, that is, separate government from spirituality? That is a good question. I am not sure about that, but there are going to be different layers of reality beyond the 22 federated regions. So I would assume that the 7 kingdoms are going to be operating on dimensions beyond the 4th, 5th, and 6th. Very good question, though, David. I do have another super chat from Jamfa to Tibetan Pharmacy. She's asking, what is the significance of Vancouver Island and Orcas Island in the first federated zone? You must have read my first edition of our Cosmic Origin. That is a good question. I am not sure. I don't know how to answer that question, but that's a very good question. Again, for those that got my first edition, the edition that was sabotaged, and what I mean by that is that they made it like it wasn't edited. I had to, again, write a second edition and then re-edit it and make sure that this time they didn't sabotage it. Well, my first edition, the one that was sabotaged, in the very end of the book, I actually wrote out in detail the 22 federated regions and the different countries that were going to be part of each region, which is mind-blowing. What is your opinion on the Jesuits? This is a question from Silver Earth Girl. Well, the Jesuits have been at the core of the cabal since 1501, right? The Jesuits, the Black Pope, the Supreme Jesuit General, has been the most powerful man for the last 500 years. And they have now been taken down by the Alliance. So the Jesuits no longer have power, by the way. So yeah, the Jesuits have been at the core of evil for almost 500 years. No, my ex-wife does not watch my channel. She doesn't even support anything. She thinks that I'm crazy. She supports Brandon. She supports Hillary Clinton. And she hates Mr. T. So, yeah, she's what we call a person who is, I don't want to say normie, but I don't even know why I married her. Anyways, it's okay. The past is the past. But yeah, she is nothing. She doesn't like any information about this. She's very into the system, very programmed, very into the matrix. Cindy Lou Reyes says, thank you for all you do. I watched your talks on the Conscious Life Expo this year. And again, thank you. So eye-opening. I can't believe I am in this game of life at such an incredible time. Well, thank you for that compliment, sister. Sylvia Vidal, thank you for your super chat. She says, Ishmael, are there people who can't tell the difference between reality and dream? If so, can you explain this phenomena? Well, it all depends, Sylvia. If you're having lucid dreaming, now lucid vivid dreaming is a little bit different than other dreams, okay? It is very hard to distinguish between lucid dreaming because it's so real and reality. Now, if you're not lucid dreaming, right, then you, for the most part, you can distinguish. I mean, how many of you guys dream and know that you're dreaming? It happens to me all the time, unless I'm lucid dreaming. If I'm lucid dreaming, then I can distinguish the difference between the dream and reality. What happened with the Australian election? This is a question from Brett Ross. I think that was also hijacked, right? It was rigged. just like the Canadian election. I do have another question from Tom Manx. He says, Valiant Thor, have you reached him regarding electricity essentials to keep medical pumps operating? No, I haven't. I haven't talked to him about that. I have another super chat from Sarah. Is it Zadok? She says, Ishmael, hello. I am a Jedi from Israel. The Cabal is watching me and is psychically attacking me. Please tell me how the events will unfold in Israel and how to contact Thor. Well, they say Israel is going to be the last battleground for the elimination of the Cabal due to the Israeli Mossad, which is deep state. So it is, eventually even Israel, let's just say the political structure, the Zionists, are going to be taken out very, very soon. So just have faith, sister, you'll be all right. And if you are being psychically attacked, the best advice I could give you is to, upon waking up every morning, to shield yourself, right? To put a bubble of protection around you, call upon Michael the Archangel, and ground yourself as much as possible. Will we look like Ghost in 5D? Not at all, Cheryl. This is a question from Cheryl Shoemaker. That is a misconception. 5D is as physical as the 3D, but it's more subtle, less dense, but it's still physical. I can be a superhero will be fourth D. No, in order to be a superhero or have ascended abilities, you have to go into 5D Earth. And then you'll be able to pop back into 4th D Earth and be like a superhero to the ascending Earth Terrans that are going to be in 4th D Earth. Yes, that is right. Roy's Toys and Comics is reminding us that they cannot release any advanced tech until the Cabal is gone. That is true. Tino Petroncio says, I have the first edition. You must be referring to our Cosmic Origin. And he says he loves it, even with all the flaws. Okay, thank you, Tino. Ishmael, will there be another pope? Well, I heard that the Cardinals are looking into electing another pope, but and if they do, again, it's not going to last very long because the world as we know it, guys, is about to change. Everything in the 3D is going to crumble and collapse. All right? We are moving into 4th D, 5th D, or even 6th D for some of us that are ready to advance. Somebody says that Jesus calls them what? Cold, the unawakened? I've never heard of that term for the unawakened. Thank you for sharing. All right, I do have a super chat from Lisa B. Shirt. She says, are you familiar with either Adamus Saint Germain, channeled by Jeffrey Hope, or Cryon, channeled by Lee Carroll? Are they both authentic and worthy of offering guidance? I have heard of Adamus Saint Germain, channeled by Jeffrey Hope, and I have also had heard of Lee Carroll, who channels Cryon, and I believe that they're authentic. I do believe that they are authentic. So that is up to you if you want to listen to them. I have heard of them, and they're both good. Edward Garcia is asking, is a stimulus check going out this month for Americans? I heard about something like that. I heard that is actually coming from Doge due to all the fraud. So that would be great. I think we all about need that, right? Especially with the hard times that we're being challenged with. All right, we are going to be witnessing the ending of all organized religion Jedis very, very soon. Ciro is asking me, do you think that we're going to be seeing military tribunals soon? I believe so. I believe that they are coming. Yes, yes, yes. That's right. No more religion, only truth and unity. That is so, so true. Francisco Echeverry is asking, how do you know what dimension you're going to? Well, Francisco, that all depends on your own personal vibration and the work that you do, your thoughts on a daily basis, your emotions, your intention. All of that contributes to your ascension. Let's see. Thank you for your service, Ismael Perez. This is from Wade Woodruff. See you soon. Wonderful show. Hit the like. Thank you, Wade. I appreciate that. Val C is asking me, is Enlil part of the Earth Alliance? Yes, he is, actually. And quite frankly, a lot of the gods of mythology have returned. They have returned and they are now mortals. They are in human bodies now. So Enlil is alive. You know, he's in a human body, whoever he is. And remember, guys, that Enlil, the Sumerian god Enlil, the son of Anu, was also Zeus, okay, the thunderbolt god of the Greek pantheon. Thank you, Kathleen Beddoes, for that super chat. I appreciate that, sister. Thank you. Fran McGillicuddy, what an interesting last name, says, Ishmael, so many times spiritual me into my room, me into my room at night when I am sleeping, and wake me up. What does this mean? Are you talking about ETs or spirit guides? I don't know what you mean, but if they're waking you up, that's probably because they have something to share with you. I don't know if you are referring to ETs or spirit beings. Yes, that's true. Cosmic Seal is reminding us that the real teachings of Jesus are not the same as organized religion. That is so, so true. Yes, that's right. The tribunals have actually been happening since 2016, 17, and 18. But we are going to be seeing an open tribunal as well when the EBS takes place. This is a good one, a good comment or question from Zero. Do you think that the solar flash will feel like a spontaneous Kundalini awakening? Yeah, I do think so, because the 7 lamps in the book of Revelation, or the 7 seals, are also the 7 chakras. So when the 7 seals, the 7 chakras begin to open up, we are going to reach full capacity, full consciousness as a result of our activation. So the answer to that is yes. And yes, the solar flash will be triggering that. Thank you, Suzanne K, for that, Zell. Thank you. Bourbon Girl is asking, is Commander Valiant Thor's real name the same as Venus, or does he go by a different name? His real name is Valiant Thor, yes. He doesn't have different names, but that's his only name, so that's his true name, to be honest. Marina is asking me, have you seen the Mahdi? Well, the Mahdi is the Muslim interpretation of the return of a Messiah, which is what Judaism and Christianity calls the return of Jesus, which is what the Buddhists call the return of Maitreya. which is what the ancient Hindus called the return of the Kalki avatar. So again, this leader that is supposed to return is actually, I believe he's already living among us, or she. I don't know if it's male or female this time, but he's supposed to be like the most powerful being out of all the starseeds, and he's supposed to like lead the war against evil. Again, he's known as the Mahdi according to Muslim texts, Jesus Christ to Judeo-Christianic text, the Kalki Avatar according to Hindu mythology, and the Lord Maitreya according to Tibetan Buddhism. And they're all one and the same, by the way, different names describing the return of this Messiah figure. So, like I said, a lot of these Christed individuals, let's just call them the elect, the 144,000, they're all here, guys. It could be each and every single one of you, or any one of you, rather. They're all here in human form. They have embodied already. No, Jesus is not ISIS. Somebody's asking me if Jesus is ISIS. No. Thank you, Indigo Star, for that super chat. And your question is, I have been emotionally purging because of ascension. Am I concerned, or I am concerned, he says, this is keeping my frequency low and you don't think you're going to make the 5D. Well, Indigo Star, let me remind you, brother, that the more you purge, the more you're going to be able to be light enough to ascend into the 5D or above. So purging is good, brother. Purging is good. We have to release the old. We have to let go of limited belief systems, trauma, fear, doubt. Everything has to be cleared. This is a good question from Dennis Pendleton. What happens when the first wave of ascension hits with the people who are not ready? It's definitely going to contribute to a greater awakening of the sleeping masses. However, for those that are ready, you guys are going to be literally exerting abilities beyond the human level of capacity. In other words, you're going to be telepathic, telekinetic, so you will have ascended powers for those that are going to be part of the first wave, right? You guys are going to be like superheroes. Thank you, Greg Molina, for that Zell. Thank you, thank you. Yes, that is true. Michelle Aubrey is reminding us that we need love and non-judgment in order to ascend, right? Seriously, guys, this is a time to just let things be. Don't worry about what other people are doing. Stop. There is no time for what they called chatter. What is it called? Bad chatter, gossiping, right? Seriously, people that are gossiping, people that are still like talking negative about other people, you're not going to make the ascension, right? You have to develop a non-judgmental mentality, right? Embrace that not everyone's going to be on our level. Yes, that's right. Antarctica was the Cabal's last stronghold. And luckily, it has been recently recuperated by the Earth Alliance. Thank you so much. I want to thank um, Carol Valpone. Thank you so much for your Zell. Thank you. Thank you. You heard that Melania Trump is an Arcturian high priestess. I've never heard of that. I thought she was a Pleiadian high commander, but I guess we're all going to know soon. What about the elderly, like my 80-year-old mom? She loves Jesus. This is a question from Carol Loves Vintage. A lot of the people that are good, generally, they're all going to be ascending, right? They're all going to be witnessing the expansion of consciousness. And the fact that she is a true Christian, right, living the Christ life, doing unto others as they would like others to do unto yourself, you're all going to be ascending, right? The only people that are not going to make the shift are the wicked, all right, are the wicked. Can you explain more about Nibiru passing? Well, Nibiru comes every 3,600 years. And every time it comes, it signals the rise of a new era. Thank you guys so much for all the likes. I see the hearts going up. Thank you. I appreciate that. Kat in Canada is saying, Ishmael, my LDS patriarchal blessing says, I will rise on the morning of the first resurrection. Do you think that that's the same as the ascension? Yes, it is one and the same. Absolutely. Sandy Super Sparkle is asking or saying, will I ascend if I am letting go of a narcissist parent that is unreasonable? I am ghosting this person since December. Well, yes, this is a time to cut cords with people that are holding you back. I agree. Yes, RFK is definitely working on banning poisons from our food. That is correct. And he's also working to stop, in collaboration with Donald Trump, the aerosol spray, right? What we call chemtrails.
And and it's going to feel uncomfortable. Oh, but I'm telling you, it's huge. And I saw this. I don't know her personally. Well, I don't know anyone personally. But I saw a woman judge try to come against the president. A woman judge. And the spirit that was on her, it's going to look like that she had some kind of, and the Lord's going to look like, so, well, you know, how's she? And the Lord said, don't worry, I'm going to this, and I order disarm. So I don't know what that means legally. I would have to look it up. And I heard the Lord, I saw this woman judge, this powerful woman judge rising up, trying to, and things are it's not gonna go well with her after that. But she doesn't know this, because she's thinking that she doesn't realize that she's being directed by the wrong spirit. And so this is not, and it's not going to, it's going to look like, oh my God, well, there it is. She's got this kind of authority. She can do it. Listen, not so. You watch what's going to happen. And this too will be turned around, upside down, like Dr. Brent said, side to side, shaken up, overflowing with not the good thing, okay, exposure. So, and so the Lord did say, those that try to come against his anointed one that he's chosen for this position, you know, will be disarmed and exposed, and it won't prosper the way they think it will. So there's right now slippery ground, and so that's why you and I got to get ready as a church, because things are going to take place. Because, you know, God doesn't want you and I to feel that the enemy is gaining, the enemy is losing. This is the reason why he's doing his thing. He's doing all these retaliations from all the areas. When the enemy retaliates the way he's retaliating, it's because he's losing. He's losing. And so it's huge. We must not focus on what the media nights is saying. We have to focus on what God is saying. And a lot of times, God will allow this, and I believe this is being allowed, so God can what? Show his glory. The Lord wanted Pharaoh and his military to come to the Red Sea. He says, I am now going to judge the gods, the false gods in Egypt. He said that at the Red Sea. He says, Moses, I'm going to gain glory with Pharaoh and his men, and I'm going to judge the false gods of Egypt. Now, why? What was there? What was at Egypt? Pharaoh's high-ranking military. Pharaoh's high-ranking military was in Egypt. All of them came because they thought they were going to get Israel. And it didn't happen. It didn't happen. They all were washed up. It's really interesting that we're talking about water right now, and we got Dr. Brett by the pool.
I don't know if you can see my girls. They're swimming.
There they are. Look at that. Oh, and it's nighttime over there.
Yeah, it's almost 10 o'clock here.
Oh, okay, but listen, it's daytime here, and oh my, look at that! Everybody say
That's
hello.
our little Hannah.
Okay,
She's 5.
To Dr. Brett's daughter, and in the comments.
Wave to all of them.
Look, Dr. Brett. Look at the chat.
That's Angelica.
All right, look at that. Glory to God. Okay, look what they're saying. Look what they're saying about your daughters.
Thank you all so much.
Oh, look at that. Look at that. Amen. Look at that. Hello. Oh my God, this is great. Look at that. So, darling girls.
Thank you all. Thank you.
So, now look at that. How they are full-time ministry, and Dr. Brad takes his daughters no matter what. He's a man of God. He's a family man. I don't know where Mariana is. She's probably somewhere in the pool. But
she's actually at the hot tub right now ministering to someone.
Oh, okay. If
It's
she's in the hot tub
24/7.
well, listen, if she's in the hot tub ministering to someone, are you sure the hot tub is not ministering to her?
She's actually sitting out of the hot tub right now, just her feet in the hot tub.
Oh, okay. All right, well, we won't bother you about that one. We'll just leave that one alone. But the whole idea... just tell, when you have time, just tell her you asked about it.
I sure will.
So saints, but it's so important. Remember when I gave a number and I said I saw something happen